Welcome to Mentes Progresivas. We're back. We actually back in action, and I'm super excited today. I'm bringing you one more episode of Mentes Progresivas, and today I have Lulu, which is a blessing. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you, Lulu?
Oh, thank you, Omar. I'm great, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is going to be a really interesting journey. This is going to be an interesting story. I'm really excited to have you, especially because you're an entrepreneur. You're a full-time person and working as a full-time. And I'm willing to, I want to dive into that particular path because working as a full-time and obviously entrepreneur, plus you have a podcast, which you just launched. You're about to go into your 10th episode. And I've been listening to your podcast, which is congratulations. It's really amazing what you've been doing. And I'm just really excited to dive into. Take me to the journey when you started going through. You obviously understand that you're full-time, but take me to the journey that you are going through as an entrepreneur, because I feel that there's so many people that, just like you, have a full-time job and they want to start their own entrepreneurship. They
Yes.
want to start that particular path, but they are so scared of, and so many insights, so many things that are stopping them, and especially the mindset. But I really want to hear a little bit more about that. If you can, please go ahead.
Absolutely. So thank you, Omar. So my journey has been a really interesting one. And while it's really come into focus in the last couple of years, I've been on this journey since my early 20s, but I never really, I suppose I wasn't ready to embark on entrepreneurship until last year. And what I'm going to tell you is what has worked for me, and it may not work for everybody else, but I always felt like I needed to make a choice, either be full-time employed or be an entrepreneur. I thought, it had to be one or the other. But giving up my full-time job, I actually really enjoy what I do as my full-time employment, and it gives me financial security and stability. So giving that up felt too risky for me, and it brought up so much fear. It brought up all my issues around money. But I also wanted to pursue my own business in coaching and podcasting. So I came to a place where I thought, why does it have to be either or? Why can't I keep the stability of my full-time job and become an entrepreneur? It's almost like learning to ride a bike and having training wheels. And there is so much out there. There is so much opinion, and there are so many influencers out there who say, give it all up, go for your dream. The only way you can do this is to commit. And while that is right for some people, it was not my path, because all it did was put me in a place of fear. So what I'm doing right now is I'm still full-time employed. I give 100% of what I'm expected to give as a full-time employee, but I divide my time and I'm growing my business on the side, and it is bringing me such joy. And I'm learning as I go along. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning a lot about my fear around money, around abandonment, around abundance. And so this is the path that is really, really working for me. And it requires an immense amount of focus, because when I'm at work, I need to be at work, switched on, turned on, plugged in. But then when I'm doing my own business, it's the same thing. So I'm not going to say it's an easy path. Nothing in life comes easy. People want the 10 steps to be an instant millionaire, or 5 weeks to financial freedom. And I just don't think it works that way.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. You actually touch a few topics, and I want to go back to them because I feel that they are really important. You touch, obviously, the fact that you understood why do I have to choose? Why it has to be just one way? Can can both coexist? Can I enhance both? Can both become me? It's still what I want to do. You obviously understand the financial aspect, how it's supporting you, right? And I feel that I want to touch that because something in you told you, okay, this is giving me the financial support. I'm loving it. I'm immersing fully into what I'm doing. However, I want to do something on my own. At the same time, I want to continue to do it to help me to continue to drive my own personal path. How did you came into that particular conclusion? What are the things that you did that help you understand? Because it's understanding, just putting a stop. And you mentioned, obviously, you got to focus. It's like you just had to put all the energy. I always tell people, whatever energy you put in, that's the same energy you're going to get back. So you put 10% in, that's what you're going to get back. You understand when you're full-time, you're putting your full energy,
Yes.
you're getting back that. When you're going into your business, you're putting full energy, you're getting your energy back. So please talk to me, like, what is it that you did and what you've been through? How did you start navigating that particular path?
Sure. I think it all comes, Omar, I think all of this starts with self-awareness and knowing yourself and being willing to learn. And my nature is I understand extremes. My life story has always been extremes, all or nothing, feast or famine. You know, so I'm used to black and white. It's an area that I feel very comfortable in, but it comes at a high price. That kind of mindset comes at a high price. And I think it was a lot of self-exploration. And I committed to, and I've been in different modalities of therapy and personal development for the last 30 years. So I've been working on myself, but something started to click in my mind. And I'm like, why am I making this hard for myself? Why do I feel like there are only two choices, black or white? Like, what is that? There has to be a sweet spot in the middle. So I think you need to be willing to look at yourself. And also the other thing is that's very important is that all along I was listening to everybody else. And I was listening to all these very successful entrepreneurs, but who are very much about go all in 100%. And that didn't feel right to me. So I kind of came to it organically and naturally, but I was really looking hard. And I knew that I found the answer when I feel like something gives space inside and I can breathe and I can feel like, okay, this is possible. This is something I can do. I can try this. So it's taught me so much about myself and also about there are experts out there, but they are experts at their way and they have things to teach us. But I think our responsibility or our accountability comes in when we take that information and we make it our own. And we make our own rules and we chart our own path. So that's what I'm doing. And Omar, it changes daily. Do you know what I mean? I've got the general direction, but we wake up every morning and we're different. We're different because of our experiences. So I'm adjusting, I'm refocusing, but I feel like I'm pointed in the right direction, and that's making all the difference. And the result is not in the money, because that comes down the line. The result is how I feel. And I feel joyful. I feel happy.
Yeah.
I feel excited about what this is becoming.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And by the way, congratulations on everything you're doing. Me personally, I can sense your energy is amazing. And it's great to hear all the things that you have done. Everybody wants to become an entrepreneur, but nobody wants to really understand the journey. And the journey starts within.
Completely.
It's completely amazing to me to hear the fact that you've been through all this journey of inner work, whether it was therapy, whether it was just self-work, whether it was books, or whatever it was, there was something inside of you and you connected with, how am I feeling? This is right for me? I often tell people, whatever you want to apply and add to your life, make sure it is based on the lifestyle that you have and want to create. And to me, when I want to add, like in this case, this podcast, I'm like, can I add this particular podcast based on the lifestyle that I have? When I felt that, okay, because I felt it, I'm like, okay, something inside of me, because I'm very intuitive. I'm like, something inside of me is itching. I need to do something. I need to do something. I'm fully immersed into this. And you mentioned another key factor. You're enjoying it.
I'm loving it.
And to me, it's probably the best definition of success. Am I really enjoying what I'm doing and how I'm feeling this moment? For me, creating this podcast, doing all the things that I'm doing now, I'm having the best time of my life. I want more, but at the moment I'm enjoying it. That doesn't mean that everything is beautiful, because all the work that we have done, and you have done an incredible job, which I want to hear more, because people often think that all the things that you have so far, it just happens. And I'm really grateful and really want to congratulate you once again. The fact that you say it's been years.
Yep.
And not a lot of people understands that.
No.
So I want to dive into that, because I think it's really important for entrepreneurs and for people that really want to do something more than whatever they have at the moment. What would you say is one tool that it was crucial or still crucial until this day that you continue to do? Because it's not just do it once and move on. No, I always tell people, like, whatever you did from here to here, and if you want to get here, you still got to do all this work plus whatever you want to do and create.
Yes.
So in that case, what will that be for you?
Okay, so the tool I think that is the most important to me in my journey and in everything I do, and maybe it's not a tool, but it's a value, is consistency. You can't do the stuff that you need to do on the days that you feel good and that you feel inspired and that you feel it. You've got to do them every single day, whether you like it or whether you don't like it.
Yeah.
And there are going to be, and there are days where I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but you've got to keep going. You've got to keep showing up. And it's like with the podcast, for example, I don't do it because thousands of people are listening. I do it because I've made a commitment to myself to show up. And that's, I think that's something that people miss, is that consistency and that willingness to push through when you don't feel like doing it. It's easy when things are flowing and people are saying, hey, you're so amazing.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's really hard when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're demotivated, when you're stressed, when you're sleep deprived, but you've still got to show up.
Yeah.
So consistency for me is the foundation, one of the key foundations to being a successful, not just a successful entrepreneur, but a successful human, and to build a joyful life. So that is absolutely key. And there's something else that I wanted to share with you, Omar, that your listeners might find helpful. And because you asked me, like, what was my process? A very important part that I haven't spoken about is I've had mental health issues since my early 20s. And I want to create a distinction between mental health and mental illness, because I struggled with mental illness for 30 years. And so that was a big thing that held me back, because one of my triggers used to be stress. And I very,
Mm,
very importantly say stress. And you can't be an entrepreneur without a certain amount of stress. I don't think it has to kill you, or, I think
yeah.
that's also a false narrative that we buy into. But the thought of adding stress was very scary to me.
Mm,
So I needed to be in a place where my mental health was stable and was and I like to call it mental fitness, actually, not mental health. But that
yeah.
was something that I just want to say to people out there: if you're scared of that holding you back, there is a way to manage both. Nothing nothing is insurmountable, but it takes work. And like I said, this has not happened overnight. This has been years and years. And even when with my mental fitness, it's about consistency. I have certain practices that are now, I don't even have to think about them. They're part of my daily life, but I need to see to them every day, like proper exercise, good nutrition, good sleep, all those things that sound so boring. Those are non-negotiables for me.
Thank you so much. Really, it's amazing to say because I do resonate with so many things that you mentioned. First of all, we're talking about mental, and I'm glad that you mentioned it's a mental illness. And you mentioned mental fitness. As a matter of fact, I have in my e-commerce, I have a shirt that it says mental fitness. And every time I take it to the gym, people just like, cool. That's very cool. And my personal way to say that I focus on mental fitness is just like, am I taking care of myself?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's putting yourself first. For me, that's very powerful because entrepreneur, we are a service of others. We understand that. What happens sometimes is we lose yourselves because we saving others or we supporting others, we serving others. And I'm like, you're not able to help anybody if you're not helping yourself.
Completely.
It to me is very clear that you have a strong foundation. That for me, that's the strong foundation, the self-awareness. You understand your values, where you're coming from, and what you want, and you have very clear what you want to achieve. It doesn't matter how long it's gonna take you. To me, that's what I call the infinite mindset
Mm-hmm.
because it never ends.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned too the fact that regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you're going through, you still do it. And I
Yes.
and often tell people too, there are three things that you want, things that you need, and things that you're supposed to do regardless of what you feel. The
Mm-hmm.
way you create self-love, you say you're going to do something, you do it because your word has value. I always tell people, I'm like, I said I was going to do this. I do it. Why? Because my words has value. I know that that's how I create it and how I'm fully immersing into the self-love talk. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really clear to me the way you talk. Now, you obviously are creating so much because it doesn't seem like a lot of people is like, you full time, you're creating your business and you have a podcast. Yeah. I don't really think a lot of people understand that creating a business, how much work it really takes. Not just obviously the logistics, that's one part, but all the path, the entrepreneurial journey, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, you learn how to navigate. What would you say is one of the things that has been challenged, obviously besides adapting the mindset? But the second one, what would be a thing that you felt it was very challenging for you at the beginning, but once you learn how to navigate, you understood, you're like, okay, I can move on to the next wall or whatever it comes out your way, because that's what it is. Entrepreneurship you don't never know when it's gonna come. It just comes and you're like, I gotta deal with this. So
Sure.
please.
So I think one of a big challenge for me, and again, it comes back to mindset, was I was I was very there were it's kind of in two parts, but they're very connected. The one is I was very concerned about what other people would think. What will other people think of me as a coach? Well, like, who the hell is she? Who the hell is she to start a podcast? Who the hell is she to kind of coach people? That was one of the things that really was a challenge for me to get over mentally. And the other thing that was a challenge for me was to not buy into this idea of, but there's so many people already doing it. The market's saturated. So those two things are really around self-worth, and they're very, very connected. And I really had to deal with myself. I had to coach myself through, actually, I can't say, Omar, that I don't care what people think, because that would be a lie. I
Thank you.
do care
Thank
what
you.
people think. I care deeply. However, it's not going to stop me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to stop me. And so I deal with that, and I do that through not being obsessed about watching my likes and my views. And of course, do I want hundreds of thousands of listeners and hundreds of thousands of likes? Yes, but I'm not obsessively checking. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I dealt with that. And then how I dealt with this thing of the market is saturated. There's so many coaches. There's so many people in the personal development space. Is I really acknowledge what a lot of people say, but to say it is easy. To feel it is very different. And that is, yes, there are a lot of people, and there is also space for me, for my voice, my message, the way I deliver it.
Absolutely.
So those were my two big challenges. And you know what? The other thing I want to say is those things don't disappear and go away forever. They kind of creep up on you, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's not like, it's like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. And then I come back to myself, come back to my center. But I'm not so arrogant as to think that my self-love is perfected, my self-worth is perfect. These are things that we work on every day of our lives, even as coaches.
Absolutely. And I really think you really hit the nail on the head, because it's absolutely learning how to navigate all those emotions, feelings, experience. We usually hear overcome X, how to suppress, how to just move on, and you can move on, but the minute there's something activates in your subconsciousness, it's gonna activate. And if you haven't learned how to navigate that, because it's there, it's always there, the feeling of imposter syndrome, fear, what others gonna think of me. The market saturated. I haven't heard that term in a very long time. Which is, I'm like, oh, that I heard that before too. So I'm like, oh, that's true. I heard that before. But all those things, they always gonna be there,
Yes.
And sometimes one thing, when it comes down to the market, the saturated market, for me, the way I see it, there were a lot of things that were happening for me, and when I achieved them, I literally felt like, where's everybody? What happened to the market, the saturated market? Like, for me, it was like, where's everybody? And then it got even lonelier, because that's what I want to talk about it too. That not many people understands how lonely is the journey.
Yes.
And not necessarily because it's lonely, there's nobody to talk. It's just the fact that you had, at the end of the day, you're the owner, you're the CEO, you're the boss. There's no one else to blame. Anything and everything that happens, it is your fault. And I want to talk about that. How is being for you in that particular journey as an entrepreneur? Or you obviously understand your job and things like that, but I want to talk about how's everything as an entrepreneur.
So I think it comes down to, thank you for that question, because Omar, I think it comes down to choice, you know.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I I'm very prone to FOMO. I'll admit that.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and I'm very prone to thinking
Absolutely.
everybody else has a much cooler life than I do and a much cooler social life and goes to so many, like, why don't I get invited to so many parties? But so I'm very prone to FOMO, but now I realize that it's also about choice. It's about choice, and
Hmm.
it's about choosing to be on my own on a Friday night and working on my business while
Yeah.
everybody else is having drinks. And of course, there are Fridays that I go out and I have drinks
Yeah.
and do all what everybody else does. But it really does come down to choice, because how I show up for my business is what you put in is what you're going to get out. So
Hmm.
I want to put the best of it. However, I think the secret is I really enjoy it. I really
Hmm.
enjoy it. And that's why I say if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to choose something that you love doing, because there's going to be so many times when you're on your own
Yeah.
and everybody else is out having fun and at the parties and being cool, and
Well.
you're working on your business, and it can't feel. I'm not saying that it's not hard some days to be on my own, but I feel like I'm investing in myself and in my future. So it feels good to me. But do I have FOMO sometimes? Yes, a lot of the time. Absolutely. I'm human, so
Yeah.
that's been kind of and that loneliness is also because sometimes you just don't know if it's the right way or the so my response to that is I just do it. I don't overthink things. I believe in taking imperfect action. That's the other thing. I don't wait for things to be so-called perfect, and I don't wait to feel ready to do things.
I love that. I really love that. I mean, I love everything you just explained and shared with us. And I think it's very powerful. It is very clear to me the fact that you understand and comprehend so many aspects of the entrepreneurial journey. And it's not the goal necessarily that you fully understand sometimes, but
So
it's you really understand, okay, how long is it going to take me? I don't care. What do I need to do in order for me to make it happen? And the fact that you are able to do whatever you need to do in order for you to make it happen, that becomes with self-awareness, self-worth, and understand where you are on the map. And many of us as entrepreneurs don't understand where we are on the map just because we understand where we want to head out. We understand what we want to achieve, but we don't even appreciate the journey. We have to start learning to appreciate the journey. To me, it's very clear that you just express so much gratitude, not just from the beautiful things that has happened and you creating, but you coming from a place that, listen, it's awful. Like I have FOMO. I gotta navigate my emotions. I gotta learn this, and I really appreciate you being so open about it because not many people is willing to talk about it. Me, I love talking about more the struggles than the wins, because for me, the struggles are the ones that has shaped me to be the person, coach, entrepreneur that I am today. I want more, but at the moment, I'm having fun, and I think that is really key to me. Is really it's really amazing to speak to you, and I can feel the joy that you're doing, and I just want to acknowledge that
thank
because it is huge part of entrepreneurship. You have done an incredible job so far in creating so many things. When it comes down to the podcast, which I'm diving into that. You have mentioned it a couple times, and when it comes down to the podcast, so many people want to do a podcast. They really don't understand the work that you had to do regarding. It's not just the platform. It's not just the get the microphone, get the camera, or get just the audio, or whatever. It's the preparation.
yes, Yes. And I agree. And I think the preparation with everything is the inside preparation first. Because you can have the best microphone, the best camera, the best platform, the best everything. But if you're not prepared inside,
Mhm.
if you haven't walked through the fire of your own fear and your own anxiety, then you're not ready. It doesn't matter about all the other things. And I want to share something with you about my podcast journey, Omar. I for about since I came to the US, which was in October of 2020. Soon after that, the seed started to germinate about starting a podcast, but it was like, oh, that's just wishful thinking. That will never happen.
Mhm.
And again, I did my research and did because I know about modeling and I know about finding somebody who you admire and modeling what they do. I get all of that. But I got overwhelmed when I looked at the
Mhm.
numbers and the numbers of podcasts and how many people are out there doing it. And it just felt like, oh my God. I kind of felt defeated before I even began. But
Mhm.
I made a decision to put all of that aside and to say to myself, if I'm the only person that listens to this podcast, that has to be enough for me. And I really had to say that to myself with commitment. And that's what I did. And when I started my podcast, I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew, not even my partner. Because I know myself, and I know when the voices start that I get into dangerous territory, and I just wanted to keep focus. I didn't want to let other people's opinions or expectations sabotage me, because the supportive, sometimes it's not just the negative stuff, but it's also the supportive stuff. It's like, you're going to be amazing. And what if I'm not? What if I suck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah,
So,
you're
so
right.
I just drowned all of that out, and I just sat down. I did what I needed to do, and I just started. And once I had my first episode out, then I told the people that I love, that are close to me. So that's how I managed that whole journey through starting a podcast. And it was funny when I sat down to record my last episode. I have this moment. I'm very intentional when I sit down, and my approach is not to edit. So I do a lot of preparation, but once I start talking, that's it. So if I mess up or say a wrong word or say a curse word or my throat gets dry, that's all in there. If somebody
Mhm.
rings the doorbell, you'll hear that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I sat down to record my last podcast, and I could feel my heart going, "Tu-tum, tu-tum, tu-tum, tu-tum." And I
Mm.
thought to myself, I wonder if I'll ever sit down and record the podcast without that happening. And then I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter if it happens every time, because it makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so beautiful. No, thank you for sharing. That is very beautiful. Saying congratulations. Like I said, you're 9 episodes, you're about to go on your 10, and I have listened to the podcast, and I strongly recommend your podcast. It is incredible insights that you bring, and more than anything, you're sharing your journey.
Yeah.
And to me, that's powerful.
Thank
You
you.
know, really think it's really powerful. I remember before doing this relaunch, I used to go live and just press go, and I used to go and just speak about myself, and just whatever was in my mind, I just speak about it. And I've been studying that, and I'm like, wow, I was having so much fun. And people gets one like, how are you? I'm like, I don't know. There's something about the camera. There's something about once there's live button for me or record button for me. That's like there's something that I'm like, I get just in the flow. However, you had mentioned a couple things that for me are key. You mentioned the preparation that you obviously do. At the same time, you mentioned that you just get on the spot and just like you get in the sun. For me, I call that location has energy.
Yes.
For me, is really important. Like, for example, this particular space that I'm creating, it has certain type of energy that once I sit down, I put my hat on and hit record, I get in the sun. And it doesn't matter. You can hear, like you say, somebody knocking on the door, somebody ringing the bell, those things. To me, it's like, you know, it's part of it. I love the fact that it's not edited. Why? Because I feel that we had to show things how they
Yes.
are and as they are, because that's who you are. I always tell people, you know who you are when you're by yourself. When you're by yourself, that's who you are. Otherwise, you keep putting masks, as I like to call it, masks, and I like to call it different things. But you doing this non-edited, I think is very powerful and is very unique, because now we live in a world where you have artificial intelligence, where you just put it there and it's going to do all the work that before somebody used to do it, but now it gets more simpler as we continue to evolve. Technology continues to evolve, and I'm excited for technology. I want to use technology to support my journey. However, how can I keep it as raw as possible? To me, that's the mentality that I get. I'm like, I want to keep it raw,
Yes.
but I want to use the technology. How can it support my journey? Another thing, in the way I think is from the inside out. For me, that's the way I process. It's something that I have learned. But the thing I really want to touch right now is the fact that you said you didn't share with anyone. And to me, that's very powerful. And that's something that I learned. And I learned this with Jay Shetty. I used to be part of the moderators with Jay Shetty. And being part of the moderators, every time it was somebody's birthday, we will share, we call it wisdom party. We will share a quote or favorite quote. They will relate to that person. They will show appreciation to that person. So that we have the whole entire chat. And I remember clearly, Cabot was there, Jay Shetty was there, and everybody was saying happy birthday. Jay Shetty said happy birthday, and all of a sudden Cabot asked me, it's like, Omar, I usually don't ask people to share what is your goals for this new year for you. But since we're in family, I would love for you to share. And then he stopped and he said, the reason why I don't share it is because I usually don't tell people my goals or whatever I'm doing next, because I don't want certain type of energy get into it. And to me, I took a pause and I'm like, that is powerful. And I took a pause and I said, well, since you mentioned that, it's not that I don't love you guys. I appreciate you, but I can share a couple. And ever since, I learned not to share everything for many reasons. And to me, it's been so powerful in the fact that you're doing it. I'm like, finally, somebody else is doing it. You, for different reasons, for however you came up with this, however you discovered that. But to me, that's very powerful. How do you came to that conclusion? What was the process for you? Like, you know what? I'd rather not share with everybody because I know myself. But what was the process? How did you figure that out? Because I feel it's something powerful that if people do it more often, we will be able to create more things. And I'm excited about that.
Yes. So I think, Omar, well, thank you for the question. And I think what led me to that decision was I've learned with self-awareness, I've learned how to support myself, how to push myself forward, how to create an environment where I can be and I can feel the things that I want to feel without relying on other people. I think it becomes really tricky when you're constantly relying on the support of a community or the support. Those things are amazing. But now I'm talking very personally for me. I needed a situation where I was supporting myself. And that felt like the most loving, most supportive thing I could do to myself because of my self-awareness. I knew that a couple of things would happen if I started talking about it. fear would start kicking in. I would interpret doubt in other people's reactions to me and responses to me, or I'd look for validation.
Mm.
I want them to validate me and validate my idea. And so I didn't want to get involved in any of that stuff. So I kept it. It's almost like I kept it clean. It was between me and me
Mhm.
and God or the universe or whoever,
Yeah.
you want to say. And it was very, very personal, but it's about knowing yourself, and it's also about
Yeah.
knowing my triggers,
Mhm.
because I'm human, and I wanted to be a success, but I didn't want to get involved in other people's opinions, and validation is a big thing, because I know that sometimes I seek external validation. So it was like,
Yeah.
can I do this and validate myself?
Mm.
So I just did. I just did it.
It is amazingly. Thank you for sharing. And that is very, very powerful, though. The fact that many of us don't really understand why we seek validation from others. It is helpful as
Yes.
long as you're aware of it and how it can support you. I seek validation. I'm like, I want to see people, but then what's the validation I'm looking for is the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for feedback. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you to tell me, like you say, I just don't want to hear it. Just do it. You're going to do amazing. Because that triggers another part. You are familiar because you say, like, did I really? You start questioning, you start going into that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm more interested in that validation by looking at for feedback, where I call the feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that in this case, we used to start in this podcast, right? So you're the first person that I'm so grateful that you are joining me. So you're the first person. I'm really honored to have you. And obviously, I'm going to look for the feedback. This is a learning process. And for me, I just want to hear, okay, what do you think I could do better? What do you see that I'm not able to see? Because me, I did great. And I think as entrepreneurs, we always had to talk to ourselves like, well, yeah, we done great, we done great. But if you really don't look at for the feedback, you can get into the rabbit hole that all this distortion reality, what I call, and it's just like, no, I did great, I did great. I'm like, really? Do you really do great? And for me, I'm interested. Okay, how can I adapt? How can I continue to progress? What am I learning? What is the feedback? What do I need to change, whether I need to move. And for me, it's something amazing the fact that you share all this, because I feel that not many people talks about it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Not
Right.
many people really talks about what they struggle
Mm-hmm.
and how they work on it. One key element for me, it's the fact that you put in the work
Yes.
to take care of yourself first.
Yes. Yes.
And for me, just want to say congratulations. Like, you're doing an amazing job.
Thank
I
you.
want to acknowledge you.
Thank you,
Because
Omar.
it's really hard, because we all want to have the business. We all want to create more things. We want to become better humans, but we're looking for external validation, and we're looking for everything external, where at the end of the day, nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. You obviously have different elements that are key, and you have it so well done that they became habits. And I want
Yes.
to touch in that, because many people don't understand. Like I said, you just do it one time and who knows, it worked, but got to do something different. But for you, you are collecting. It's a collection that you have of many habits. For you as entrepreneur, what are the key habits that has made the biggest impact in your journey? Understanding, obviously, first that you have a full-time job, but now, okay, I need to create this. And then you apply it on the podcast. So there's a pattern. For me, I can see the pattern. but I would love for you to tell us what are the habits that has made the biggest impact for you in your journey as an entrepreneur.
Sure, sure. So I think if I can, I don't know if there's such a term, but my umbrella habit,
Nice.
so to speak, is I keep my word to myself. So if I say I'm going to do something, I goddamn do it, whether I want to or whether I don't want to, because the minute I break a promise to myself, that's when things start to crumble. Now, I just want to say something here, just a little like a tweak. There are some times in life where you've got to give yourself grace, where you've got to just take your foot off the gas a little bit, but they are different. Keeping promises and giving yourself grace are very different. And you've got to know yourself well enough to know, am I breaking a promise and letting myself off the hook by giving myself grace, or do I really need grace? So that nobody can make that tell you where that line is. You've got to figure that out for yourself. So that's the kind of the umbrella habit. The other habit that I have done is I set aside time daily to work on my business. Now, that time could be as little as 15 minutes.
Mm.
And that's okay. See, people think that it's got to be big and you've got to dedicate all your time and work until 2 a.m. Sometimes I have a really long day at work and I'm very stressed and all I can do is 15 minutes. But
Yeah.
15 minutes is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So it comes back to that consistency. And I write things down now. I write like where I want to go and what I want to accomplish for this year. I've written those goals down with a pen and paper and made them very clear. But there's something that I am practicing and learning, and that is about the willingness to be flexible. So I set my sight on something, but I do believe in my heart, Omar, that the universe, God, whatever you want to call that thing outside of ourselves, knows so much better than me. So I also allow myself the space to tweak those goals or change them slightly based on the feedback that the world is giving me, that the universe is showing me. Like I just don't want to become like rigid. Like, this is what it is, because that approach does not work for me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm lazy, and it doesn't mean I change my mind on a daily basis. That's not what I'm talking about. So I want to be clear about that. But it's allowing flexibility, and it's about getting feedback from the universe, getting feedback from the world, getting feedback from things that you can touch and see, and adjusting slightly. So, and I think one of the other, and I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but one of the other things is habits for me, and that ties into my mental fitness, is I need to sleep and I need to exercise and I need to eat properly. And those are non-negotiables for me, so there's a lot there.
No, thank you so much. Like I said, I think this is very powerful though. Me personally, I can relate so much when you obviously you really understand when it comes down to the power of consistency.
Yes.
You understand the power of self-talk. If you say something, you do it.
Yes.
Why? Because you're the only one that's getting affected.
Yes.
You're the only one that is winning your mind. Like whatever the way you speak to yourself, that was become your vocabulary. I always tell people, like, the way you talk to yourself is your vocabulary. Your vocabulary becomes your personality. So pay attention the way you talk to yourself. The other habit that becomes powerful is your understanding adaptability. It's the law of flexibility. I always tell him, to every person, the hundreds of people that I had worked with, I always tell them, The goal remains the same. We change the strategy. We adapt the strategy. And this is something that I learned from one of my mentors, Eric Ries, and I'm so grateful that he's my mentor. I get to work with him and I get to learn from him. And I want to share this because I think it's powerful, and the reason why I'm touching this because you mentioned it, like continue to be adaptable, like being receptive to whatever comes my way and understanding, okay, something didn't work. What is the feedback? Let's continue to move on. And did it go the way we wanted? No. But for me, I asked him, like, you obviously are the pioneer of entrepreneurship. He made very known the concept of pivot. And I asked him, so you obviously the pioneer of entrepreneurship. When it comes down to pivot, when do you know you need to pivot strategies? And he said, that's a great question. And many people change it so quickly. That's the first thing. People just, something doesn't work and they change right away. That might work, but you find yourself just failing. And that loop, sometimes it just doesn't feel good for the long term because it's all about the long term. It's like, however, if you try to fix the same problem with different strategy 3 times, if it doesn't, is not able to fix it, if you're not able to work on it, move on. That means it's time for you to pivot. And to me, it's a strategy that I've been using, not just with myself, not with the stuff that I'm doing, but within clients. And it's been very powerful. And for me, it's like, it's crucial as an entrepreneur, understanding adaptability. Because like you said, I have a full-time job. Sometimes I'm just so tired because my job consumes me because I immerse fully, right? I'm doing this, but you know what? I said 15 minutes, I give 15 minutes, adapt it, and I'm like, it's okay, even 5 minutes. At least I read something. At least I came up with a title for my podcast, or at least I reached out to my client, or at least it doesn't matter. At least I did something, and I think it's really crucial. And me personally, I think you touch a huge topic when it comes down to adaptability, because me personally, that's what I'm all about. Like this podcast, this is the first one. I guarantee you, and I promise you, and I'm making a promise right now to you, I would love for you to be in the podcast in the next 3 months. And I promise you, it's not going to be the same.
Amazing.
Why? Because I'm doing it for myself. This is something that I enjoy. You have no idea. This energy, the way I'm feeling right now, I missed it so much. Like I'm about to tear up because I really missed it. And for me, my inner child is really happy. Like I really enjoying it. I'm having fun. You made me think, and I resonate so much to it. And this is what I'm been craving. It's that like connection. Like has to be more people that are doing amazing things. And they don't need to hear it just from me, because I can turn on the freaking camera and just go on myself and speak about myself. I don't have any problem. I've done it. I love it. However, having connections with other people, hearing other people's stories, I'm like, oh, wow. Well, now we're talking. Now I want to create bigger connections, bigger communities, so we can continue to make a huge impact in the world. We continue to do many great things. Like I think you're doing and have done an amazing job. And me personally, I'm really excited for everything you're creating. Congratulations.
Thank
Seriously.
you.
This is very powerful. You have done an incredible job with the inner work and understanding the mindset of entrepreneurship. It's crazy to think that we are close to the hour. This has been so amazing. This is just something that it is fun. I'll be honest with you.
It is. It's amazing. And I just, if you don't mind, I just want to interrupt you for a second and thank you, because this has been really, and this is going to be, I feel like this is also going to be a turning point for me, this conversation, because unlike you, I am not that comfortable in front of the camera. And that was another thing with my podcast. I did the research and I know that there is more engagement when people have a visual. However, I didn't feel ready. But I didn't want that to stop me. So I know in terms of my podcast, my next step is going to be video when I'm ready. And I could wake up tomorrow morning and be ready. But the reason I bring that up is for two reasons. Just to say to people, don't wait to feel perfect and to have all the pieces in place to start. Just start. I started with just audio. But the most important reason why I tell the story is to say thank you, because you've given me, through this conversation, just so much more ease. And I feel that this can be fun. This is really, and the camera is not so scary. And and it's the continual growth, and feeling comfortable with ourselves and not going into the judgment of, oh, did my skin look okay? Oh, yeah. It's at the end of the day, people will notice that for 2 minutes, but then they really want to hear what you have to say and what's coming from your heart. So thank you, Omar, for this amazing opportunity to speak with you and be on camera.
No, that's amazing. Like, I'll be honest with you, this is what this is about. Like, people that's scared, for me, it's like, it's natural. I do relate to a certain point, but I'm like, I don't know. For me, it's just, there's something inside of me that's craving it. And the minute I sense and feel it, and, I just do it. But I just want to say congratulations. I'm excited to see the video podcast, because I think it's going to be very powerful. Because people need to see the joy that you have when you share not just your story, but all the topics that you talk about. I can hear the joy when you're speaking about it. I can hear, but something inside of me, by listening to your podcast, I'm like, I wonder what type of faces she's making. Like, seriously. No, I'm serious. That's what was going in my mind. I wonder how is she's laying down, and she's like, what is she doing? Because right now, like, we moving, like, we having fun, and that's what this is about.
I
Just flow. Like, it's perfect. I don't know. For me, it's beautiful. To me, I'm having so much fun. Like, like, it doesn't matter. For me, this is it. So just press the button, record it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just like you continue to say, just do it.
Completely.
But anyways,
thank you.
I really want to thank you for coming and joining me on this first episode. And I'm so grateful for you for giving me the opportunity to chat. And I would like to end with a couple questions to you. And it has to be not related with anything, with entrepreneurship. It has to be more like, what is one book that you say or you recommend for people to read? They will be helpful in their entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, so this might be a very, very strange answer. I don't actually have entrepreneurial books per se, like that are under that title. But there's one book that I first read in my 20s and I keep by my bedside, and I still read it. And that is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, which might sound completely unrelated to entrepreneurship, but for me, it speaks to my heart. There's a wisdom and a depth and a poignancy in the way he writes. And it's an old book, hundreds of years old, but it's just, it's been through all the stages and phases of my life, and I've had, influences and people come and go, and that's just been a thread that has been consistent. So I don't, some entrepreneurs might think, well, that's a wacky suggestion, but that's my book that will always be with me.
Excellent. No, this is what that's about. It doesn't have to be any self-worth. Sometimes it can be anything. For me personally, obviously, I love personal development. My first book, I read it in 2010. That was my first personal book ever. that I read. That was the first one. I never read a book before 2010. So the book that I always recommend is the Compound Effect. You spoke about the small little things compounded over time, how much impact they can create in your life. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, for me, it is a must, because you will understand that the little things, how much impact they can create in the habits, how it helps you to create habits. It's just start little, just little by little, compounded over time. It's going to make a huge impact in yourself. And now, this is not related. What will be, for Lulu, what is one thing that is make you feel like you are in your state of flow? Like something that it doesn't, might be a wine, might be, I don't know.
No,
Like,
that's an easy answer for you, and I can tell you it is sunshine. It is
ah,
sunshine. There is something about sunshine that lights me up. If I
mm,
wake up, and especially now it's winter in the US, when I wake up and I open the blinds and there's sunshine outside, I literally go to the window and I put my face, and it's the simplest thing, but when
mhm,
there is sunshine,
yeah,
I'm like, thank you. I always tell people I'm a solar powered being. I just love
that's
sunshine. Sunshine is just medicine for me. I love it.
that's amazing, and it's absolutely
And it's
love it.
free.
Of course, well, as long as it shows up, right?
Yeah.
As long as it shows up sometimes. But no, I think I really love that, and I think it's very powerful. It's truly, you clearly have a very really understanding of your environment, your element, and your energy, and things that are really important to you and to me. If anyone wants to can take anything today, I really want to encourage you to continue to dive deep into getting to know yourself.
Yes.
That would be the most powerful tool you can have as an entrepreneur. I just cannot like emphasize it enough. I think it's very powerful. You are a great example. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the first guest, and it's been amazing. Now, is there anything that I haven't given you the opportunity to share that you feel or would like to share with the audience?
Thank you, Omar. Just my deep, deep, deep appreciation. And I think that the last thought, if I can leave the audience with, is don't overthink things. Just keep it simple and don't look outside of yourself to figure out if it's right for you or if it's wrong for you. Go inside and ask yourself, how does this feel? Don't ask yourself, is it going to make me money? Is it going to make me famous? Is it going to make me thin? Just a simple question. How does it make you feel? And if it makes you feel good, if it brings you joy, if it lights you up, that's your answer. And if it doesn't, move on. Keep it
I love it.
simple.
Nice. That's amazing, Donna. Thank you so much for sharing. Like I said, I think your story is very powerful. You obviously have been doing an incredible job, and I just really excited for what you're creating, for all the things that you are working on, and just looking forward to hear from you and continue to learn with you and from you, because I think you have so many insights that I hope the audience can relate. I really hope that you, if you're listening, if you're here with us or you're watching, I really hope that you find this very insightful. Me personally, I have several key takeaways that I take with me that me personally I'm gonna apply. There's a few things I'm like, okay, I gotta go back to those. So from the bottom of my heart, Lulu, thank you so much. And this is it. We'll see you next time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Omar. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.